I love the way the First Gen Lounge makes me feel.
Because it creates a space where I belong.
Where we're able to create community.
The fact that it's a community.
It's a safe place.
It also gives me a place to understand different perspectives.
The stories of these individuals prescribe transformational perspective.
I receive encouragement, enlightenment, empowerment.
And also serve as a catalyst to just keep going.
Where we're able to be our true selves.
I'm allowed to be an unapologetic first gen.
And above all else, tell our story.
And every episode is unique.
I love it.
I'm your host, Dr. Eve, and I'd like to welcome you to the First Gen Lounge.
Hey, welcome back. I missed you, and I hope that you have been good to yourself. And if you are new here, welcome to you too. Thank you for coming to kick it with us. I definitely appreciate you. So you know me, not want to try to keep you long. I'm just going to jump into it. So here is the question that I have for you right now. Is there something in your life that you just can't seem to let go of? And can you not let go of it because you're only looking at the situation one way? Can you not get past it because you're only seeing what it is just the way that it's always been? Okay, let me ask you that question. Did I ask you that question? I did. Okay. Here's why. I was talking to my therapist the other day. Shout out to my therapist, who was 100% dope, y'all. One of the dopest Black women that I have ever met. And she's getting me all the way together. Okay. And we were talking about a situation that I have been challenged with facing for years. And I brought it up because something happened. And I'm like, maybe I should talk to my therapist about this because I have been running circles with this thing for the longest time. So what she said to me was, she said, Eve, why don't you take some time and sit down and write out what's good and what's bad, kind of weigh what this circumstance is and see if you can find a resolve. So like, just give yourself time to think through things. So bet, I've done this before. I love to journal. This would be a great reflective activity. And maybe then when I find some answers, I can come back to her and we can talk about it some more. So, I can finally move past it. But I hadn't done that. I get to it because we meet once a week. So I'm like, I'll get to it. But while I had not done the activity yet, I was laying on the couch after, we had done an activity in the house, put up the Christmas tree. And what I found myself thinking as we were watching television was I need to work on this activity. But as soon as I said that, here comes this commercial. And I forget what the commercial was about, but the commercial was like, yeah, but if you can't change it, change the way you think about it. And so being who I am, and I know that I know this, and I know this is something I believe, but something about having both thoughts together really had me like, okay, you really need to get it together, do this activity as she asked you to do. But something about this commercial was just sticking with me because, again, as many times as I've talked about changing your perspective, changing the way you look at things, I realized this was one situation that I had never taken the time to look at differently. Isn't it a shame? Okay, it's not a shame. It's life. But for what it's worth, though, I took some time after this commercial had gone off, and I didn't actually go to do the activity because I woke up the next morning. So yeah, I had a great night, didn't I? But it really resonated with me, even until the next morning, that the only way I was probably going to get past this situation was to start looking at it different. But then the question came to me, well, why haven't you looked at this any differently? And I was like, dang, it's because knowing things the way they are has always made me comfortable. Knowing things the way they are have always given me some sense of peace and security. Like, I didn't want to feel lost. I didn't want to feel a lot of things by having to let go of a situation because I had become so familiar with it as well. And then I found myself thinking, just because I'm familiar with it doesn't mean it's good for me. Just because I'm comfortable with it doesn't mean it's good for me. Not if me not letting go is continuing to create this reoccurring challenge within my life. Okay. So then when I started to see things different, I realized, and just being straight with you, I realized it had made no sense that I had been dragging myself through emotional, mental, physical, spiritual turmoil, trying to hold on to something that was actually never good for me in the first place. But you couldn't have told me that it wasn't good for me, because the only attachment that I had to this thing came from a place and a time in my life where I needed this particular thought, I needed this particular behavior, I needed it to be able to function and to exist, and for my reality to seem like something that was good. To be honest with you, it made it seem like everything was all right to hold on to some of these ways, some of these habits. But again, the more I thought about what the years had done for me in terms of how I had changed, how I'd grown, how I becoming more confident in myself, and how I become, just more educated and go getful. Yeah, I make that up. But how I become so much more of myself, and in a way that I'm stronger, I realized that I could let go of bad habits that were honestly no longer serving me. But I also realized they were coming back to me. And I say bad habits, just negative thoughts, negative thinkings, holding on to situations from the past, with just many circumstances and many people just all around the world, my thinking about these things and not letting them go, letting them come back and get mad for no reason, right? And I'm mad, angry, frustrated, and not in a good place. But I realized I didn't have to hold on to those things, because those things were still representing who I was, not who I am, and not who or what I'm becoming. So situations where you fallen out with friends in the past, or relationships with, old loved ones, boyfriend, girlfriend, whoever situation didn't work out, things with, finances and jobs and just all across the board, holding on to these feelings of resentment, these feelings of could I have changed it, these feelings of this is what I used to do, but who am I now? When I think about, again, this idea of letting go and thinking about things different, I realize continuing to bring my past into my present as a way to cope with some things that I may be facing now, there are actually ineffective coping mechanisms because of how I've changed. But that's the only thing that I've known. And because of that, I've relied on those ways of being, because it's easier to do that than to face the fact that I need to change. Let that sit in. So there are things in your life that you know that you need to change in your way of thinking or being or doing, but you're just afraid to let go of those ways. And you don't know what's going to happen if you do, right? But it's like this. You don't ever know what's going to happen. Even when you plan to the T and to the O to the Y. Did I just spell toy? Playing. But even when you are planning as much and as best as you can, it still doesn't mean that things are always going to work out the way that you want them to. So here is my thought, my challenge, my hope for you today. I hope that you can take some time to change the way you're thinking about some things. That you can think about who you are, again, who you become and who you're trying to be. And to think about if what you won't let go of is actually serving you. Because before I even got to the list, because I still ain't even got to the list now, y'all, and it's been like almost a week. It's just this idea that I just never changed the way I was thinking about these things in my life. And because I only saw the good in how, me snapping used to work for me when I was in college, right? So let me do that because that's being protective. But I'm not in a position now in the situation where I even need to snap, where I need to be angry, where I need to have ineffective conversations with people who are not hearing me, right? That's not who I am, and that's not the people who are around me. So some of those habits are no longer serving. When I think about how I used to save, how I used to think about money and finance and wealth and savings as someone who just came out of college, versus somebody who's now been married for a few years and is running a business, they're not the same. And so it's not going to work to apply these same thoughts and habits to, again, my current circumstance. And when I started thinking about, again, just all the things in general that I wouldn't let go of. And again, it started with one situation, and it's like, okay, this one situation, it keeps recurring. This is a thought that keeps coming up. This is something I keep finding myself in. I'm like, but is it my fault? Is it my fault? And a part of that was like, yeah, it is, because you're not willing to do the work to let it go, because again, it's comfortable. And just because something is comfortable doesn't mean that it's right. That's just kind of like a pair of jeans. I have some jeans that's comfortable, but they are bigger than the size I want to be. So I need to let them go because ain't nobody got time to be trying to get, back into unhealthy eating habits, So see how I rocked that, right? Came back to it. It's a positive note there. So to you, I say, whatever you're holding on to that you don't want to let go of, is something that really hurt you especially, or something that used to make you happy, but may not be making you happy anymore. But you can't let go of that thing because you're so used to it. Change the way you think about it. Because here's another thought. As I started thinking about things that are no longer serving me or things I can't let go of, I started to see that, wow, I'm wasting time and energy and just life being invested in something that's not even pushing me forward, but it's making me stay still. And thinking about that, if I am on a journey to grow, and if I'm on a journey to make, better choices, if I'm, living my best life out here, being stuck is not a part of living my best life. So for you, it's something that you won't let go of. Perhaps the thing that's keeping you from getting into that career that you want, or really pursuing, the relationship that you want with somebody, or getting out of a relationship or starting a business. What is that thing that you can't let go of that very well may be keeping you from some other things in your life, but because you're so comfortable and caught up in this one thing that you can't let go of it to see that there's something greater that lies ahead for you. That's all I'm asking. That's all I want you to think about. But whatever it is in your life that you are facing, again, a weight thing, are you fighting yourself about your weight, or you can't let go of the idea that the way you are now is not beautiful? And so do you need to do some work around that? Do you need to get past thinking that you can handle everything on your own and really seek some advice, some counseling, some therapy, some financial counseling, a mentor? Like, what is it that you need to change? And can you stop thinking about things just one way and see it from both sides? Both sides, or two or three sides, whatever that may look like. Hey, you know better than I do. But saying that to say, the first step to overcoming some of our challenges in life, especially when it comes to getting past things that have been holding us back, is to take a moment and see it differently than what it's always been. Because then you will see that it doesn't have to be what it's always been, and then it can be something different, that things can change for you, whatever that change looks like, whatever you desire for your life. So that is that. I promise, again, I wouldn't keep you long, but as we are growing here, as we are honest here, as we are thinking through our lives here, and as even I'm, going through my own transitions and growth, I think it's important to share with you some of the vulnerabilities of, yes, I'm in therapy, and yes, I get caught up with things sometimes, and yes, I may feel like I'm making progress in my career and doing things, great things in my relationship, but that doesn't mean that I'm not human, and that sometimes I don't find myself getting caught up in old thoughts, or, getting frustrated by old habits that I'm just like, I need to let this go because I don't want to keep hurting about this. I don't want to keep crying about this. I don't want to keep being frustrated about things. I don't want to keep figuring out why things aren't going differently when it's really me who's not trying to change, because I'm only willing to see things the way I want to see them as long as things are going my way. And that can be really hard to do. So if it's something that you're dealing with, something that you're trying to, navigate yourself, here's my thing. You can only help yourself by being willing to heal yourself. Because by healing yourself, you start healing in every aspect of your life. And healing shows in how you show up in the world. Because when you start to heal, you start to find peace in things, no matter what things look like. And sometimes our way of healing, a way to heal rather, is to start thinking about the things in your life for which maybe you should let go of, that again, that are no longer serving you, and to be honest about what's not serving you, rather than only seeing it for what it is, for what it's always been, and because of what you want, because it just feels comfortable. Alrighty. Well, know that I love you. I love you a lot, and I appreciate you being here. Don't forget to like, share all this with your peoples who need to hear the word. And again, just thank you for continuing to show up and doing all the amazing things you do. And if you haven't already, please go to the website, www.evehudsonphd.com, so that you can get on the mailing list where all the goodies are shared. Because, that's just what it is. All right, be good to yourself. Until the next time, peace.